Hi, everybody. Welcome back. If you haven't already, go back and listen to the introductory episodes, and you will get more information on what the rising is about and my 4 core principles. Today, we're going to be talking about reflection, which is the first R in the RISC principles.
I think as humans, we are so skeptical about anything. And the first thing we ask ourselves is, why? Why do I need to do that? So I want you to put my questions away and tell me, why do I need to reflect?
There is so much outside noise in the world that we don't even know how to tune into ourselves. So the first step in reflection is even recognizing the fact that we live in a society that is inundated by distractions. That's the reality. Those are facts. It's hard to get still. So if you can't get still, you can't access your inner voice, period. The first step is acknowledging that.
Once you acknowledge that, what do you do with it? It's like, yeah, there's so much going on, and to think about it actually makes it feel heavier. So I find myself kind of wanting to avoid it. Mm-hmm. So acknowledging that that's the case, what do I do with all of that?
Once you acknowledge that it's hard to get still, now you have to really try.
Actually do it.
To actually get still. But that is scary.
It is.
Because if you were to really get still with yourself, people are afraid of what might come up. So I get why people are constantly distracting themselves or trying to turn up the volume to outside forces.
Guilty.
But I think that's what most people are doing. And oftentimes I don't fault people for that because it's hard. It's hard to sit with yourself and face certain things. I know I went through it during COVID when I had to really sit there in the quiet with my feelings. I didn't like what was coming up. I didn't. And I didn't like what the voices were trying to tell me. I was afraid to sit with my fears, my anxiety. I think people are ultimately afraid of themselves. So it's just easier to bury our voices with distraction.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we are so nervous to be not with someone else, but with ourselves?
It's uncomfortable to sit with yourself. It could feel lonely. You could also feel like you don't trust yourself because you've trusted the voice of everybody else around you. So you don't even know if you can trust your own voice because you've been spending years listening to everybody else's opinion on how you should live your life. So if you actually start to listen to your voice,
you might not even recognize it.
You might not recognize it. And the reality is it could scare you because what that could mean is that your life can now change in a direction that you're not ready for. So you're better off not listening to that voice because it could lead you down a road that you're not ready for.
That's the lie.
That's the lie.
That you're not ready.
Right. And I think that your soul wants you to be happy. Your soul wants you to be free and live a life that is aligned with what it wants. So that's what your soul wants. So the only way you can access that part of yourself is by getting still with yourself. And again, you have to even acknowledge the fact that you can't sit still. I don't blame you because we all can't. We're all glued to some type of device and some type of outside force. It's very difficult. But once you can even make the attempt to sit quietly with yourself, and preferably in nature, because that's really where I feel I've been able to connect more deeply, is just being outside, walking, taking in the beauty of nature, allowing my thoughts to come in, not pushing them away. And that could look differently for everybody. But everybody has to find a sacred space to make that happen. You have to either create a sacred space for yourself to get still, or you got to go seek it in a place that can give you peace and at least minimal distraction. And I believe in nature, we can do that fully.
And what happens when you don't do this? Like, what is at risk by choosing to not sit with yourself?
If you don't sit with yourself, what's going to happen is you're going to disconnect from yourself and you're going to create disease. I've studied this through people that have been given devastating diagnosis, devastating illnesses. My father, he died of stage 4 cancer. He was disconnected to himself. I find in all my research, a lot of people that are disconnected to themselves or their own inner voice, the pain starts to manifest in the body. And so you start to now feel tired, or something starts to hurt, or you get dealt a diagnosis that you were not expecting, because all of these feelings and thoughts have been buried. So what do you think happens if they don't come to the surface? They start to manifest in the body. This is just science. I mean, this is backed by research. You need to release. Everybody needs to release.
I've been to like these holistic doctors, MDs, not just like, all due respect to chiropractors, but like real MDs that believe in your body storing trauma. And I've been in a doctor's appointment where he's like telling me like I have unforgiveness like stored in my like liver. And it sounds so crazy, but I believe what you're saying. I truly believe that if we don't bring it to the surface, it will find its way in a physical form.
It will. And there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. I mean, trauma is trauma. Everybody experiences different degrees of trauma. It could be something minor, like my mom reading my diary. Okay, that was, a level of trauma, maybe not drastic, but that trauma was stored in my body, right? It came up in other ways. Someone could go through something severely devastating and not deal with it, and it could come up in other ways as well. Trauma is trauma. And one way or another, if you don't release it or you don't heal that, it will come back to bite you in some way, shape, or form in your body. And the reality is, I mean, in the spiritual community, a lot of us call it the chakra system. It's our energetic system. We start to see declines in certain parts of ourselves if there's something stored in a certain part of our body. And I've been lucky enough to work with wonderful practitioners that have helped me release the trauma, as painful as it can be. But then physically, I felt better. And I've observed it with my clients. I've observed it talking to other practitioners and their patients. This isn't hokey stuff. This is like real. Like if you're not dealing with your issues in a productive way, in a healthy way, and releasing it, it will just keep manifesting in your body as pain. That pain will then lead to cells breaking down, your body breaking down, causing you to have disease because you're disconnected. That's disease. It just means you're disconnected from yourself. So that's ultimately what it is. I mean, and it's sad, but my dad died of cancer and my mom is living, thankfully, but she has multiple sclerosis. She got dealt that card at 40, my age. So I'm trying to look out for myself and my health, right? How can I improve my chances of not getting a disease? So in my research, it just, for me, and what I'm trying to help others see is that you have to be able to connect to yourself, your true source.
And I have a feeling you're going to tell us how to do that.
Yes, so stay tuned, and we are going to explore how to actually reflect and get still with ourselves so that we can hear our inner voice.